Hey folks, welcome back to Nerdcast. Here, my friend today and co-host once again, Matthew.
Hey Grant, how's it going?
Hey, usual, playing Elder Scrolls Online, listening to some heavy metal, and really liking the new Assassin's Creed game that came out this past year.
Yeah, definitely. I've been playing that one recently too.
Yeah,
I mean, Vikings, it's a perfect way.
Vikings are in right now. Viking culture is so cool. Viking history is so cool. I mean, just they're one of the greatest warrior people civilizations ever to exist.
They're so interesting and that's what's great about the Assassin's Creed games is you get to go back and I guess stab your way through history.
Yeah, like Crusades, Inquisitions, killing a few popes here and there.
I mean, you're that's the point of the game. You go back, stab a bunch of historical figures, learn about history, and then
conspiracies, shadow wars, alien artifacts.
Yeah. It's just so cool because with Ubisoft they've gone and scanned all these old buildings, and then they've recreated them in the games, like Notre Dame. Yeah. When Notre Dame burned down a few years ago, tragically, Ubisoft had gone in a couple years before for Assassin's Creed Unity,
right,
and digitally scanned the entire building, and they gave the plans back to the French and said, "Here you go, rebuild."
You know what's interesting about Ubisoft? It's weird. In their own fiction, they claim to be part of the worldwide cabal that's trying to take over the world. And it's kind of like an inner joke, like they put their company in the universe, and they're trying to.
They're the evil Templars.
Yeah.
And I think with Ubisoft, one thing we must bring up is the past year with Ubisoft and the sexual harassment, the frat culture that's gone on at the company, and the sexism, and I condemn it all. It is horrible.
Go into it. I'd like to hear this.
There's a bunch of frat like behavior from the higher ups, sexual harassment going on, and they for the last 4 Assassin's Creed games they've pushed the female characters to the side, and it has been disgusting to see all this happen at a company where they produce great games. And it's sad to see that female characters like Aya from Assassin's Creed get pushed to the side. Evie Fry from Assassin's Creed Syndicate get billed as a main character, but then with her twin brother, but get less screen time, less gameplay. And then with the 2 most recent ones, they're advertised as being male, even though in canon they are female characters.
That reminds that goes all the way back to the early 2000s with the Jedi Exile and Knights of the Republic 2.
Definitely.
People didn't have an issue with it then. Well, you never know.
But they were the head of development or something. One of the heads at Ubisoft was against having female leads in video games because he didn't think females sold video games, and I was disturbed by that because as we were talking earlier before this podcast, Metroid, there's
Star Wars,
Tomb Raider. There are so many video games that have female leads that have sold so well, that are so great. Female Shepherd from Mass Effect, Ciri from Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. She's kind of co-lead.
Dragon Age.
It's just so sad to see a company with doing this, and I'm hoping for a better future with the Assassin's Creed.
Right.
And with all of Ubisoft's products in the future, and especially with Assassin's Creed, I'm hoping for a better female representation and more female lead characters.
I think GTA could deal with a good female lead.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
GTA could really benefit from some female representation.
Rockstar needs to get a female lead character.
Well, I will just say, wrapping this all up, it's a symptom of the culture wars, and by culture wars, there's a lot of sexism in the game industry. It's
a result of this male-dominated hierarchy that's plagued the industry, and
similar to Hollywood,
and the sexism that's plagued the industry, and
yeah,
it's running out of time, and we're seeing the effects being brought up with, like, Blizzard.
Yeah.
People getting fed up, people doing stuff about this with at Ubisoft too, and I'm happy that people are standing up for themselves and saying no more.
We need to appreciate talent and give fertile ground for talent to grow, regardless of the gender, sexuality, or race. Yeah,
sexism, racism.
It's all in the game industry. It's all
it has no place there.
Yeah. Well, back to Assassin's Creed. I like that PSA for a moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had to do that just because of
it needs to be said.
It needs to be said that we stand against what happened at Ubisoft. And we're firmly against it.
I mean, there's people out there who think that bringing in female leads is just a way of going to the diversity hire, SJWs, all that stuff, And I'm like, that disgusts me. It really does.
Sexism just disgusts me.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed is one of the most interesting universes I've ever seen, and Black Flag is my favorite, hands down.
Oh, definitely. Black Flag.
Pirates, merchant wars, trade wars.
Oh, it's just so cool to, because I don't know how many pirate games there are. There are too few pirate video games.
Good ones, too.
Yeah, good ones, too. And good ones at that.
Sea of Thieves. Ugh, not my cup of tea. I mean, the thing with Assassin's Creed Black Flag, yes, it's a Pirates of the Caribbean callback in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's actually rumors of a game, I think I've seen this at E3 a few times, where they want to make a game that's pretty much identical to Black Flag.
But minus the assassins?
Yeah, and just an endless open world trade war in the Atlantic Ocean during the discovery of India, the trade routes into India and Japan,
I'd go for that.
What's the name of not the Silk Road, the one traveler who went from Spain to China and India.
Marco Polo?
Yeah, that kind of era,
Oh, so before the time of pirates.
Yeah, but pirate wars in the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay, yeah.
Which would be awesome. I'd love to see that.
With Assassin's Creed, I mean, they've opened up so many historical doors to so many different eras.
Yeah.
They've done the Middle East during the Crusades. They've done the French Revolution, ancient Greece.
And it's not just history anymore. There's sci-fi elements. There's fantasy elements.
There's always been that sci-fi. And for me, the game has never been the sci-fi that's drawn me. It's always the historical stuff
that's drawn me. Same. I didn't even when I first heard Assassin's Creed, I didn't even realize there was sci-fi elements.
Yeah, I got the first one I got was Assassin's Creed 3, and in playing it, I was all excited for this Revolutionary War stuff, and then all of a sudden, I get pulled out of the Animus, and I'm just what the heck is going on?
There's so many different plot threads, or so many different continuities going off at once. Yeah, you have the assassin, but then you're also a person in the 21st century being experimented on by an evil corporation that can trace your history back for your DNA.
And surprise, surprise, it's the game's made by kind of one of those evil corporations.
I liked Black Flag and how you're a game developer and you're using the DNA of what's his name, Esmond?
Desmond.
And you're trying to use that. It's they're using it they're using the development of a video game as a cover up.
Oh yeah. And then they do the same thing with Assassin's Creed Rogue.
Oh, that was also a video game sort of plot line?
Yeah, kind of, but you instead of being working with the assassins on the down low, you're working with the Templars because it's a Templar-led video game.
Now, when it comes to assassins and the Templars, it's hard to put a normal morality system to them, if you ask me.
Yeah.
The Templars, they're kind of the stereotypical Illuminati, Freemasons.
Yeah.
But if you just, that kind of...
Control the world.
Yeah, just that usual frickin' stereotypical, evil cabal, Illuminati sort of thing. But in reality, they have seen wars, they've seen conflict, and they don't think people can, It's an interesting power dynamic they're going. The assassins represent freedom and chaos, no matter what cost science brings, nuclear war and all that. But you're better off being free because at least you can make your own choices. But the Templars represent order and excess, order and chaos sort of thing. You know what I mean?
It's a philosophical question, and I don't think it's one that we can answer in our time.
Yeah.
Or just in our lifetimes. It's a question that's plagued humanity since its beginning, and they're using it in the video game, and that's what I find so interesting.
They played off the whole Illuminati thing. They played off the whole 2012 thing. they play off like the pop culture myths of our time, and
yes.
Now, here's a question for you as a science nerd: could the Animus actually exist? Is there truth behind the whole genetic like history thing? You inherit the memories of your ancestors.
I don't think it could be true, but then again, I am not a science major. I'm a history major.
Yeah.
But
it's a cool concept.
It's an interesting concept, and there is definitely stuff that is passed down with genetics.
Your personality.
From generation to generation, so I don't think it's possible, but then again, science could prove us wrong.
Let's go back to the history aspect. I'm a huge history nerd.
Yes.
You get to literally take place in the war between different, like, Brotherhood was amazing.
Oh my god, Brotherhood is one of the best.
You're literally in medieval Italy,
Renaissance Rome.
Well, yeah, Renaissance Rome, edge of the Middle Ages.
Yep.
You're in a war between different like bishops and princes, and you get to assassinate like religious leaders.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the best parts or funnest parts about Assassin's Creed is it shows that like just because someone seems like a good person doesn't mean what they're doing behind the scenes is always good.
Yeah, like most of the historical figures you're going after, it's really the Templar assassin conflict really portrays some darker aspects of public figures and what's really going on.
No, in real life, definitely the Templars and assassins don't exist.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah, you know what I mean.
But it does show some of this stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they did a lot of like going back to the conspiracy thing I was talking about before, how they draw in the conspiracy theories of the times.
Mm-hmm.
JFK is connected to Assassin's Creed, you know?
Well, and in Marvel, JFK is connected to the Winter Soldier like that. So, I mean, that one, JFK assassination, is connected to a lot of stuff in stories.
Well, that's what Assassin's Creed does. They play off They play off conspiracy mythology.
A lot of people until probably the most recent few games, just because two of them take place or the three of them take place in times really old. A lot of the places where the people died and the times that they died were really accurate.
Yeah.
You know, not the way they died. Obviously, getting stabbed by a hidden blade or something.
It's so weird how accurate they are with their facts, and the story goes right in with historical facts.
Yeah. Some of the more recent games haven't been as historically accurate.
Yeah.
But they're still fun.
Did you like Valhalla?
I am playing through it right now, and I really like it.
Okay, you're a history buff. Are shield maidens kind of like... There's a lot of debate on that. Do you think shield maidens are accurate?
Well, I'd have to say, for me, it's partly because I want to believe.
Same.
But also at the same time, I've seen there have been graves recovered of women buried with swords and axes and stuff. And I think and their stories, they have a lot of
mythology of women warriors.
Yes, Viking mythology is full of women warriors.
And usually mythology literally reflects the ethos and the actual nature of the culture that it goes with.
Definitely.
So if you have a culture that's spreading all these things, ergo my anthropology nerdism is limited, but usually for a mythology to happen, it reflects a reality in the culture that you live in.
Yeah, for me, with all that stuff, I think shield maidens were an actual thing, and I think it was accurate to portray Eivor, the lead character of Valhalla, as a woman, and to have women shield maidens.
Well, it's beyond just war. Women could be chieftains, they could be priestesses. Like the Viking and Nordic women had so much more authority than the mainland European Christians at the time. It was... Like, there are stories of women leading raids on imperial, like, soldiers and stuff. There's all sorts of stories like that throughout history and mythology.
Definitely.
And Assassin's Creed just brings it to life.
Yes, and that's like one of the nice things that it brings to life, all this different history. I mean, yes, you're going through and killing a whole bunch of people along the way, but one thing that I find interesting with the games is you're picking up a bunch of historical facts along the way. And that's the best part, because some people go there because it's just like, oh, I'm going to go and play a video game, but they come out of the video game with a bunch of historical knowledge, and that is what I love.
And now you know.
Yeah.
Reference there.
Yep.
Yeah, the thing I like about Assassin's Creed, the new ones, the RPGs, are amazing. Having a historical RPG is great.
It's nice to have that a little bit more control because, like, I love the older ones, but the added RPG aspects of the new ones are very fun. it just adds another dimension to
Black Flag is still my favorite, though. Black Flag is still my favorite.
For me, I can't choose between Black Flag or Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Those two I really love, and I'd have to throw Brotherhood and Assassin's Creed Rogue up there.
It's such a mix of genres and like concepts. Like you have strategic thinking, multiplayer. You can literally like run your own wars and like politics, and
you can run your own wars. You can run your own trading company. I mean, it's just so fun.
It's getting accurate.
Yeah. All right. What's your favorite Assassin's Creed like protagonist?
Pirate.
Edward Kenway.
I love that guy. I also like the guy Ezio. I love Ezio. I love Ezio. And you get to see him from childhood to death. It's so amazing.
Yeah. For me, I love Edward Kenway, of course. I love Evie Fry from Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Right.
They needed to do so much more with her because she was going after the precursor artifacts, and that was so cool. That was such a cool storyline, and she was a great character that they needed to do more with, and that's why I was happy that they brought in the Jack the Ripper DLC. And I also love Cassandra. She's one of my favorite protagonists of the game because just the whole story of her being the descendant of Leonidas, and it's just so fun.
Yeah.
And it's a connection to history.
And like Odin was an actual hero in Assassin's Creed's mythology, right? He was a god. That's what they do. They take mythological characters or creatures in some cases,
and then they explain them as the previous race, the Isu, as they're called, and they're basically like, oh, Odin, Zeus. Yeah, it turns out they weren't gods. They were just the race that created humans,
like Forerunners.
Yeah, from Halo.
Yeah. That is such a cool element. And the Isu are a very cool concept to explore. I really do like the Apple of Eden.
Oh, yeah,
the slaves so cool. Rising up. And the footage and like side quests you go on throughout, like in between missions to find this lost footage. It's just, it's great.
Have you ever gotten 100% in one of the games?
No.
No? There's just so much. I know.
Black Flag is just... I'm such a Pirates of the Caribbean nerd. That's why I love it so much. It was the first game I ever got on the Xbox One.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I got it for 360 because I didn't have an Xbox One at the time.
Yeah.
But it was still amazing.
Yeah. What's your favorite... What do you think they could do better? What era do you think would you like them to explore in Assassin's Creed as a history nerd?
For me, I'd really love a World War I Assassin's Creed game or a World War II. And I know that's what a lot of people would say, but I just think... having, like, say, an assassin in the French resistance during the Second World War.
In front of the Nazis.
Or an assassin in the Russian, as a Russian partisan or a Yugoslav partisan. Like, somewhere in there would just be so interesting, and you could explore the history of a part of the war that isn't that known, like Yugoslavia.
Where do you think Nazis would fit in the Assassin's Creed universe? Who do you think they'd be aligned with?
They're aligned with the Templars in the comics and stuff, like, and a lot of that stuff. But then again, they also have, like, Churchill and Stalin are, like, Templar puppets at the same time. So they used, I believe in, like, comic lore, the Second World War was, like, a restarting period for the Templars to gather more control.
Well, that's just that. Once again, they know their history so well because once again, there's so many conspiracy theories about World War II, and there's so much obsession with shadow wars.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so cool.
Yeah. Why is it World War II is always like the big like shadow war conspiracy theory?
Well, I think it's just because it's the closest big war that we have to us, and also like a lot of our family members that we've known in our lives have we were alive to see that, to know them, and they fought in it. It changed so much of the world, and it's become an integral part of the world because things are measured as pre-1945 and then post-1945, and I think it's just such an integral part of the world, that's why.
Now, here's a history question. This is unrelated to Assassin's Creed. Well, kind of is, kind of not.
Wait.
Yeah, like I was saying, World War II... Okay, so here's a historical question, and it's probably a nerd question. It's kind of unrelated, but could go in an Assassin's Creed fan fiction game if you ever made it.
Yeah.
Is there truth Hitler was obsessed with some really weird stuff? Like all those stories about occult stuff, alien artifacts. I mean, where's the basis for that in history? Where those rumors come from?
There was some occult stuff within the Nazi party, and that's where that comes from. I haven't dove that deep into it, but I do know that there were some party leaders that were a little crazy with that stuff. That's all I want to.
Yeah, I wasn't.
No.
But you see Indiana Jones, you see Marvel,
Yeah,
and there's like all these always this stuff about aliens.
I think definitely like that would take a huge part in an Assassin's Creed game with dealing with the Second World War.
Yeah, that would be cool. One more history question that kind of goes in part with your fan fiction for an Assassin's Creed game. How did the Nazis get such a huge technological advantage over the Allies in such a short time?
I wouldn't say in real life that they had a bigger technological advantage because they could not produce as well as the Allies, and most of the German army was still horse-driven at the same time. That the Allies were mechanical.
Yeah, but like Operation Paperclip, most of our like huge technological advances as World War II.
No, definitely. I think they could work that in by just using Apple of Eden as like the cover.
Yeah. So what era do you think they should never do in Assassin's Creed? What era do you think they should never do in Assassin's Creed?
I don't think that they should go anywhere past 1945.
Do you think the series is slowing down? I think we're reaching a conclusion, or do you think it's just getting started?
No, I don't think we're getting to a conclusion because I mean, even though we've had a decade worth of video games, they can keep going because history keeps getting older.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a stupid thing to say, but like history happens every day, and we get more and more of it, and there's so much more to go off of, and we're discovering new stuff every day.
So in closing, this is what you just said, completely off what you just said. I want a good conclusion from this. What do you think the biggest things, you know, like how certain sci-fi games and movies and films can have like central messages that make you think?
Yeah.
What do you think Assassin's Creed does in that regard?
I think with the Assassins, and even with Assassin's Creed Rogue, you playing as a Templar, a former assassin turned Templar. I guess spoiler alert, but the game's been out for 7 years by now, so
yeah.
But I'd say it's freedom of choice. I'd say that's a big thing, or freedom to be yourself, and standing up against those who bring tyranny. I'd say that's the biggest thing I can see in all the games.
Free will and all the chaos it brings versus complete total hegemonic submission.
Yep. I mean, even with Assassin's Creed Rogue, they couldn't get away with it. The character wants to stand up against something he thinks is wrong to save people's lives, and in doing so, he goes over to the Templars, who are actually pretty evil, but his reasons that you see in the game are like what an assassin would be, and it's very interesting that Assassin's Creed cannot move away from that kind of plot.
So any news about any hopes in the upcoming games? Like any hopes you would like to see happen? Like any functions? Any mechanics? Any historical facts you'd like to see?
For mechanics, I'd just like to be able to, just play with the hidden blade outside of combat, pop it in and
right.
out. Like the first Assassin's Creed through Assassin's Creed Rogue, you could just play with them. I mean, that was just fun to do.
Black Flag jumping aboard a pirate ship, guns a-blazing, musket fire.
I want more ship-to-ship raids and stuff. Those are always fun.
Yeah.
Odyssey had it, Rogue, Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 3 even had some of it.
Yeah. Well, that's been great. I hope we hope Ubisoft gets its stuff together and we can see great content coming out in the future.
Yes, definitely, because we've gotten so many great characters out of the game so far. We've gotten Altair, Ezio, Radun Hakadun for Connor Kenway, Aveline de Grand Prix, Shay Cormac, Arno Dorian, the Fry Twins, Cassandra, Bayaka Siwa, his wife Aya, and Eivor.
Yeah.
And Adewale. Can't forget about him.
It's such a story-driven game. You come to care about these characters even though they're long dead and their deeds are forgotten. It's just... It's really impressive. I'd like to see them do more trade war stuff, more strategic, maybe even like MMO aspects, multiplayer aspects.
You really want some more politics in the game.
Yeah, like I like games like that. What I liked about Black Flag was you could do raids, you could do trade wars, and Black Flag was so relevant to me because I love that era of history, the trade wars, exploration. I just want to see more stuff like that.
Oh, definitely. That'd be very interesting. I mean, we do get some exploration with Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah, more stuff like that.
But
more stuff like that.
We need more of it. I definitely agree with you. More exploration. We need more games set in Asia too, because we've had so many in North America and Europe,
Africa.
It just feels like it's been those two continents have been explored so much that it needs to branch out. Like, I mean, even a game in Australia would be interesting.
How about the colonization of India by the British?
That would definitely be one. I mean, there's the side-scrolling games.
Yeah.
That have you in India. I think that'd be a very interesting one, and I think in the future Assassin's Creed just needs to expand outwards more, because people have been begging for years to like have one done in Japan or China or India or somewhere in Africa. More like, I mean, there's Egypt obviously with Origins, but like more recent, I guess.
Have they done Jerusalem?
Yes, with the first one.
That's interesting. Well, that's pretty much sums everything up for the night today, folks. Till next time, stay sane. Thanks for coming on, Matthew.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Till next time, folks.